Hey, this is Joe from Home Studio Corner, and I'm excited and a little sweaty because I just did the challenge thing that I'm going to tell you about in this video, and I'll let you see my entire challenge at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Really fun and got me really excited and gave me goosebumps. So let's talk about that. But first, if you haven't already, be sure to register for my upcoming free webinar on June 15th. That's a Thursday at 8 p.m. I'm going to talk about 9 home studio mistakes and how to avoid them forever. I'll also be opening up my VIP membership to accepting new members for the week following that webinar. So if you're interested in that, it's a wonderful community. You'll find out more on the webinar. You can register at homestudiocorner.com/register. And that registration gets you into the webinar, but also gets you access to the replay if you can't make it live. So I hope to see you there. Register at homestudiocorner.com/register. Okay, let's dive in. It all started with artists, like actual people who draw and paint and create art. I got into them. It was kind of over COVID. I got really into watching different artists draw and paint and do their thing on like YouTube and Instagram. But one thing that I noticed that was incredibly intriguing is how all of these artists have sketchbooks. These journals, just blank page journals that they're always sketching in, and they will fill one up and then they'll move on to the next one. These journals, these sketchbooks are their prized possessions. They love them. Occasionally they'll even turn the entire sketchbook into a product that they'll sell. So they'll print up a bunch of books of their sketchbooks because there's so much cool, raw creativity in there. And what's interesting about it is these sketchbooks are meant to just be that, for sketching, for practicing, for trying and testing out ideas. There's zero pressure to a sketchbook. And I recognize that I want that for myself. I realize that a lot of times if I'm working on something musically in the studio, especially like from a production standpoint, putting tracks together, adding all the pieces to make a great production, typically I'm only doing that when I'm working on a single or an album project, which is great, but I don't do that all the time. I'm not constantly releasing new music. I do probably one project a year of my own stuff. So it's not this everyday thing, and I kind of wish that it was. But I don't want to be constantly releasing EPs and albums every week. There's got to be some sketchbook version of this, and that's where the idea for this challenge came in. So this challenge is simple. The idea is to just create with zero pressure. You're going to set up a 4-bar loop in your DAW. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and just set it to loop over and over again. Figure out your tempo, and then just start recording into this loop. So the one you're going to see me do, I started with a drum beat, and then a guitar part, and then a second guitar part, and then a bunch of vocal parts, and then a few extra guitars, and then I eventually recorded a bass line on the guitar and used the transpose button in Studio One to take it down an octave so it sounded like a bass. But it all happened in just a few minutes. Originally, this was a 3-minute challenge. But what happened was once I got a few tracks in, the 3-minute timer went off and I just completely ignored it. And I just was in the zone, in that state of flow, and just kept going and kept having fun. You'll see it in the video. And ended up with, I don't know, 15 or so tracks of audio of this 4-bar loop. Now, is this a song? No. If anything, it's a mini song. It's a sketch. Could I take this and expand it into a full-length song to release to the public? Sure, maybe. But the creation of it was not so much about creating something perfectly. It was about putting myself in a creative place and just sketching. And it was incredibly fun. And here's kind of the bigger picture of why I think this is such a good idea. Doing a challenge like this gets you out of your head and into the music. Because there's zero pressure for this to become anything that anyone in the public sphere hears, you can just create. You don't have time to second guess yourself because the clock is ticking. The loop continues. Don't hit stop. Just let it continue playing as you record. And because there's no pressure, because this never has to see the light of day, something switches in your brain and you're able to just try things you maybe wouldn't try otherwise. And it's a form of just pure creativity. And I like to imagine if I did this every day for 3 months, that's just 10 minutes a day, I would have 90 song ideas, 90 sketches that I could then pull ideas from, or maybe even take the actual sketch and turn it into a song that I want to write and record and release, or maybe just use the idea as the basis for something that I more properly produce later. But I think this is a huge missing piece, at least for me, and I imagine for a lot of folks who follow me, where you want to create, you want to do the thing, right? Do the production, add the things and have fun, but you don't want to have to commit to a full-on EP project every time you just want to create. That's not to say we shouldn't also back ourselves into corners and make sure we're actually releasing music, but in the times in between, this sketchbook idea could be really, really fun. So practically, I'm going to take this sketch that I did, loop it so it's like maybe a minute or so long, and then export that into a Dropbox folder. And the idea is over time, as I do this little exercise, even like on lunch break, in between meetings, between dinner and before I, go to the pool with the kids or whatever, as I do them, I'm going to fill up this folder with all these files that I can then listen to on my phone while I'm out for a walk and just kind of relive the ideas, feel inspired, feel creative, and then just imagine the body of work that's going to grow in that folder. And then when it's time, when I get that itch to do another EP or album, I've got a whole host of raw materials to work from. And that gets me really excited. Like, I go through phases of being really excited about production and making music to feeling indifferent. Doing this exercise, I wasn't feeling all that creative before, but doing it got me really excited to do this exercise again, which means it kind of tipped that big rock up here and the momentum is starting and I'm feeling more creative. So please try this 4-bar loop. Give yourself 10 minutes on a timer and just see what happens. I promise it'll be worth it. And before I play for you my challenge, warts and all, I think you'll like it. It turned out to be a fun little jam. I want to remind you again, the webinar on the 15th we're going to talk about the 9 home studio mistakes that people make and how to avoid them. But also I'll be introducing my VIP membership, which is where we do challenges like this all the time. We have small challenges like this 10-minute challenge that doesn't take a lot of effort to do. And we also go all the way up to big release an EP challenges and everything in between. And the idea is it's really hard to make music in a vacuum when you're the only one in the room and there's no one to share that with. But with internet being what it is, we've amassed over the years this beautiful community of people just like you who are doing these challenges and making their own music and having a blast and building their body of work. And I would love for you to come check it out and see if it's something you want to be a part of. So to join the webinar, that's the only way you can find out more about this. Go to homestudiocorner.com/register. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to let the tape roll now so you can see me doing my 10-minute challenge. All right, timer's going. I got a 4-bar loop, got a kit. It's kind of fun. And this is the tempo I want. So we're going to build it out from here. All right, so this pattern. Okay. I like that. Let's record a guitar part. 1, 2, 3. I missed it. 2, 3, 4. Okay. I like that. tell you about it. Let me 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 tell you about it. Wow, that was fun.